Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this special multi-locational meeting of the Community Liaison Subcommittee, which is held in the Chamber of Penalty House via Microsoft Teams on Monday, the 26th of January at 2026 at 6 p.m. This meeting is being live streamed and a recording will be made available to view via the Council's website, except for discussions involving confidential or exempt items. Therefore, the images and audio of those speaking will be publicly available to all via the Council's website. We'll move on to agenda number 1, to receive apologies for absence. Please can you record any apologies for absence in the meeting chat or advise committee services. We move on to agenda number 2, declarations of interest. Councillors and officers are reminded of their personal responsibility to declare any personal and or prejudicial interests in respect of any item of business on this agenda in accordance with the Local Governments Act of 2000, the Council's Constitution and the Code of Conduct for both councillors and officers. Are there any declarations of interest? Nope. We'll move on to agenda item number 3, the draft budget proposals for 2026-2027. Members, we have Leanne Sykes, the Director of Financial Services and Section 151 Officer. She's over in the lovely area on the left. She will introduce this report, so we'll move on to Leanne. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for the opportunity to present the draft budget proposals for 26-27 as part of the consultation process. For those of you who don't know me, I am Leanne Sykes, Director of Finance and Section 151 Officer, and I'm joined this evening by my Deputy Sarah Rose, who is online to assist with any questions that you may have. The draft budget has been developed in accordance with the Welsh Government's Provisional Local Government Financial Settlement. For 26-27, Caerphilly CBC will receive an additional £24.641 million in funding. However, our identified cost pressures total £43.641 million, leaving a significant gap that must be addressed to deliver a balanced budget. To bridge this gap, the draft budget incorporates a package of savings and income measures totaling £12.817 million, comprising £6.488 million in permanent savings, £0.371 million in temporary one-year savings, £0.377 million generated through a recommended 3% increase in all fees and charges, and £5.581 million in in-year transformation programme savings. In addition, a 6.25% increase in council tax is proposed, generating £6.183 million of additional funding for 26-27. For a Band D property, this represents an annual increase of £97.54 or £1.88 per week. A notable development in this year's budget is that no use of one-off reserves is required to achieve balance. This marks a significant improvement on previous years and strengthens the Council's overall financial resilience. It also means that unallocated reserves can be directed to one-off investments and invest-to-save initiatives that support longer-term sustainability. The draft budget also includes £2.055 million of targeted growth, supporting key service priorities. This includes £1.365 million to enhance the cleaning and greening programme and £0.690 million to support a review of fees for kinship carers. These areas of investment reflect the continuing commitment to maintaining a clean and safe environment and improving outcomes for children and young people. Members will be aware that these proposals form part of the Council's wider public consultation, which is currently underway. Feedback from this subcommittee, along with contributions from residents, partners and other stakeholders, will inform the final budget proposals to be presented to Cabinet and Council in February. The full details of the draft budget are set out in the report provided. We welcome your comments and observations as part of the consultation process today. These will be captured in the minutes of the meeting and shared with both Cabinet and Council prior to the final budget decision. Sarah and I will do our best to answer any questions you may have this evening. However, for particularly service-specific queries, we may need to take these away and provide a written response to all members of the committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Leanne. We'll open the floor for any comments or questions.
I've got one.
Okay.
Michael Parker, Mayor of Risca Town Council, and Michael Parker, Mayor of Risca Town Council, And I understand that coming up on 2027, there's going to be new councils involved in joining together, and one may be reset up. Is there provision in this budget for any money to help with the joining of these councils?
No, I can confirm there hasn't been a separate identification of a budget to help with that.
So I would expect it to be the usual thing, that no help for any financial help for the community councils to join, because there is going to be a financial burden for these councils to join together. So I presume the council will expect the community to pay for it. Would that be correct?
Based on these proposals, yes, but I can take this back as part of the consultation.
I would like that to come back to our next meeting, please.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Yes. Emma?
I think you're referring to the amalgamation of Risca Town and Risca East into just a Risca Community Council. I think at the last meeting, Dave Beecham did say it was awaiting final report from the Boundary Commission, that he was going to feed back to you on what exactly the amalgamation would look like and take place. I don't know if that's been circulated yet, or whether the Boundary Commission has come out with it yet. But how the combining of the two community councils will be handled will probably very much be underlined by that white paper as soon as it's published. You'll have more of an idea of what it will include, what actions will have to be taken, and I'm sure that'll be taken forward by Dave Beecham.
Do we have a time? We didn't have a time scale, I don't think.
No, I don't think we did. It was all dependent on, I believe, the white paper coming forward. So it will all depend on when that's received.
Okay, thank you. We had Judith Pritchard first. Councillor Pritchard, I'll come to you then, Bob.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I am here as a Caerphilly County Borough Councillor, but I'm also a member of Gethlygare Community Council, and I've got 3 questions, and I think are pertinent to community councils. The first one was the Invest to Save. I was very pleased to see that there is going to be a special fund for Invest to Save, and I'm wondering what interest there would be on the part of the county borough to try and forge alliances and jointly fund projects with community councils. For instance, Gethlygare Community Council have got money in the budget for putting solar panels on schools. I think this is a very good initiative, and a Invest to Save initiative, and we have been liaising with Paul Rossiter, and we're hoping to make this an annual event for all the primary schools in our area, because we can't do them all at once. That kind of thing. So I'm just wondering if you've got any idea what kind of projects you could suggest perhaps to community council and town councils to take part in this. The second one I wanted to mention was the cleaning and greening programme, and there again there is more money put into this budget, and community councils and town councils are not responsible for clearing up rubbish, but often people come to us and they expect us to do something about the considerable amount of rubbish that's dropped. And I feel that we should widen the scope here. I mean, it's not just a question of having more men, more lorries, if you like, and more frequent clearing up of what people have dropped. We've got to stop people dropping it. So I think we really, the council, need to have a publicity campaign, possibly leaflets that members of the public can present to people when they see them dropping rubbish. Because if you do mention anything, you sometimes get told where to get off. And I think we ought to widen the scope of this. So this is an area that we could be looking at. And the third one is the events budget, tourism budget. I can't see any cuts in that, but we in Gethlygare Community Council were approached, I think about, well, probably November, about would we be willing to take over all the funding of Ystrad Mynach Christmas Fair, this coming year. So the department had enough money for the spring fair, but not for the Christmas fair. And that would be a big burden for those community councils who've got represent town centres, like Blackwood, Risca, Bargoed, if they were asked to fund the entire lot. So can I assume that there is no cut in the events budget and that the Christmas fairs this year will go ahead as usual?
Thank you, Councillor Pritchard. Leanne, are you able to answer any of those?
I'll have a go. Thank you. So in terms of the investor save, so the one that you described is exactly the kind of project we're looking for. We are thinking very much around the energy efficiency ones, which reduce our future revenue operational costs, because if we can bring energy costs down or even mitigate some of the rises that we see in energy costs. So that's exactly what it's aimed at. And any other kind of investor save, there is criteria set out in the report on what it needs to deliver. So it needs to deliver a revenue saving or a cost avoidance over the MTFP period, so over 3 years. However, that doesn't mean if we have some projects that are slightly longer, they can still come to Cabinet for consideration. In terms of the cleaning and greening programme, I can certainly pass that back to the director in terms of expanding that as part of this consultation. And then you are correct, there is no proposal included in this budget for any reduction or savings for the events budget, but I can't give you the assurance on the Christmas fair, but I will again feed that back to the director and get you a written answer if that's okay.
Thank you, Leanne. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Is there anything else you wanted to raise, Councillor Pritchard? No.
No, thanks, that's all.
Okay, thank you. We'll go on to Bob Campbell now, please.
Yeah, thank you, Teresa and Emma. Yeah, back to the Boundary Commission changes, recommendations. Yeah, nothing at all from Caerphilly on that yet. And I suppose that's because there's nothing from Welsh Government. But last Monday, Councillor Mike Parker and I attended an online seminar run by One Voice Wales. For those who don't know, One Voice Wales is an umbrella group between the 733 town and community councils in Cymru, Wales, to local government, to the Welsh Government. And the advice from One Voice Wales last Monday was they considered that the Boundary Commission changes are going to come through, and they've started to prepare us town and community councillors and staff to be prepared for it. Yeah, the deadline is going to be the May 2027 elections, so I'm really hoping that we have something quite quickly so that I, as the officer of Risk of Town, can start to prepare. The next 15 months are just going to fly by. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Bob, for that's really useful information. Thank you. Can we go on to Councillor Kevin Etheridge, please?
Thank you, Teresa. Two questions, Leanne. In order to keep county councils, community councils informed, could you just give us a list of areas where you think the 3% increase in fees will be applicable? Obviously, that would be on top of the proposed 6.25. And the second question is, please correct me if I'm wrong, I understand that they are looking at a possibility of a 1% sort of cut in the education budget, and where you think, how you think schools will manage, and what areas in education is it perceived that Cabinet feels that these cuts would be appropriate for our children. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Etheridge. Leanne?
Thank you. So in terms of the fees and charges, it will be 3% across all council set fees and charges. So any fees and charges set by the council will be increased by the 3%. And they say this year it is across the board. Yeah, and any fees and charges that we set. In terms of the education one, so obviously schools make up a large proportion of the council budget, so they can't be immune to us trying to balance the budget, but we have been working with them, and the savings proposal that's in there has been in their medium-term financial plans for this period, so schools have been working towards this for the last year and a half. And it's the school's discretion for them to come up with savings proposals for how they deliver it. I'm just trying to look. I don't know. Sarah, are you able to give how much it would be per school based on the averages that we worked out?
So it's typically around 11,000 in a primary school and 60,000 in a comprehensive school. That's what that 1% target equates to.
Thank you. And I think alongside that, we've obviously got the transformation programme. So we are working with schools. We set up a member working group to review surplus spaces and school sustainability. We will be undertaking a schools funding formula review to ensure that funds are being distributed fairly. And we are also arranging for financial management of good practice mentoring across the heads, across schools.
Can I just ask a supplementary, please,
Yes,
Teresa?
of course.
Just one. Have all the schools got surpluses in their budget to cover the 11,000 on the primary sector? And did you say 60 or 65,000 on the secondary sector? We haven't got no schools, have we, in deficit at the moment?
Thank you. No, so there are 7 schools that have set a deficit budget, and they are working with us on recovery plans over a 3-year period. But what I was saying is that the schools have known that this is coming, so that is built into those plans. So yeah, we're having to work with those schools.
So even if they're in deficit, they'll be expected to absorb the cut. Right.
Yes, that's correct. Obviously, they are being given growth in terms of managing some of the inflation, but that is the same proposal that is targeted. And the figures that we provided are average. It will go through the funding formula process. So it could be different depending on the schools and the pupil numbers, but we put that down there to give people an idea of what the figure would be.
Any other question, Councillor Etheridge? Are you all right?
I won't go on about the CCTV room because my views are well known on that.
Thank you, Councillor Etheridge. Thank you, Leanne. Is there anybody else who's got any other questions they want to raise with Leanne? Anybody online? Thank you, everybody. In that case, all your comments have been noted, and we're going to all move to close the meeting. Did you have a question? No? Okay. Well, we will close the meeting.